Hey guys, quick update to the channel here. Today was a bit of a different day. Took a break from the markets, from watching the news and watching the rising coronavirus numbers in the United States here, and when flying this plane behind me here from Austin to Houston, a few hours in the plane, and nothing like that to unwind and completely change scenery and focus on something else, something different than the usual daily sitting in a quarantine and watching the markets and the news. But as I was driving to the airport this morning, it made me think about 7 years ago when I started flying, when I went for that first lesson in Hawaii, in Maui. Almost threw up on the way to Hana and back. And then came again for the second lesson and the third, and 2 months later I walked away with a license. And that was a skill that I added. I initially started as a hobby, as something that I wanted to do, curious about flying, whether I would like to do that, and eventually it became a skill that just added as another skill. And this morning as I was driving to the airport, I thought about all the people now that are being furloughed and unfortunately unemployed, and how the economy is changing, and how many of these people are going to be rehired eventually, how many restaurants are going to go down, and how many businesses will shift to better technology and less people. And I think we're never going to go back to what this used to be, what this was in 2019 or at the beginning of 2020. And so adding skills to what you have is very important, whether it's your love for cooking that can turn into starting a restaurant, or your love for fixing cars that can turn into a shop that restores classic cars, or just a hobby for flying that turns into a commercial pilot and a flight instructor that turns into a real job. Obviously in a few years, maybe when the market hopefully recovers, I mean, my heart goes to all the aviators, so all the pilots at most airlines around the world that are being furloughed and let go, and for the next 2 or 3 years are really going to have a hard time. And the point I'm trying to make here is the careers that our parents used to have, that my parents had, maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 different jobs in their lifetime, is going to be completely different today. I think the generation behind me that's just coming up and getting their first or second jobs, they have to realize that the world's changing and changed so much that they're going to have 5, 6, 7, 8 different careers, and so the point is you have to be able to reinvent yourself constantly and realize that every new skill that you're adding to the skills that you have in the beginning, maybe a hobby, maybe something that you like to do, but you can always turn it into a job or into a business that you start. And in particular now, I think 2021 is going to be the year where people are going to realize that if you were employed before and you lost your employment, it's not going to be very easy to go back, because the whole landscape is going to be changing. And so people should start thinking about how they can start a business, how they can turn a hobby or a skill they learned into something different, starting a business and making it that way. Alright, that's my little update here. I always completely unwind when I'm flying, a little bit like kite surfing or skydiving. Like your mind has to focus so much on something else and be completely present in that different activity, that it takes me away from the usual watching the markets and watching the news and being in that deep down, and then it allows you to think about other things like this. So anyway, if you're struggling right now, if you're unemployed or furloughed, think about all the skills you had. Think about new skills that you've always wanted to try. Don't just sit at home, watch Netflix and eat and get fat. Get off your ass, go after it and make it happen. Alright, I'll see you in the next video.